name's Steve Nikorak. I'm from Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, and I'm the Director of Player and Program Development here at Zoned. I think my whole life I wanted to be a baseball player. My goal was to play professional baseball, and I knew once I was done doing that, I wanted to be involved in the game somehow. Whether it was coaching in college or coaching kids, and that's how I came across Zoned.
Join the Jackals, the 3-1. That one popped up by Nikorak. It's hit pretty hard in the outfield. Gonna go back and over the wall in left center. Steve Nikorak launches one. It just kept carrying, kept hanging up there, and it left the yard.
Yeah, so going into college, 2007, going into Temple University in North Philly, it was a very different environment than where I was growing up. I was in an inner city. I was a recruited walk-on pitcher, which meant I had no scholarship money. Kind of had a roster spot, but it wasn't really guaranteed. So I remember the first day of practice, I had asked my coach if I could take some ground balls at third, and he kind of made a joke of it. He's like, "You're a pitcher." So he ended up giving me an opportunity. I ended up starting that year, 17, 18 years old, and I was just waiting for my opportunity and sitting the bench for the first 3 games. That was the first time I sat in my life, but I kept my mouth shut, and I didn't say a word. There's no secret to getting into a lineup. You got to work. You have to do everything you can to prepare for that moment, right? You're not going to just automatically get a chance to start at third base and perform. It's the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. If I'm starting off the season as a bench player, well, I got to be the best bench player I can be. And that's a humbling role for, a lot of guys going on to play in college, because you get to college and everybody's the best player from their town. So fast forward a few years later, and I'm in my junior year. I'm having a lot of success at the college level, and I start talking to a couple professional teams. Ended up going through my junior year. I didn't get drafted. My senior year, really hoping to get drafted. I had a pretty decent year, and the 2 teams that I really had talked to were the Phillies and the White Sox. But the White Sox actually invited me out to Chicago to their big league stadium for a pre-draft workout. Sitting down, listening to the draft with my family. They come back around to the White Sox, and in the 32nd round, they selected me. And I was in a room with my entire family. There was a dog pile in the middle of the living room. Everybody was crying. It was, my entire life of hard work that led up to that moment. 2 days later, I was on a plane to Arizona. You're staying in bad hotels. You're sleeping on floors. You're sleeping on buses. I ended up getting sent to the rookie ball team in Bristol, Tennessee. Played there. Went back for spring training the next year, broke with the team, and then got released. Getting released was probably the worst day of my life, and I wasn't even there for that long. It was the first taste of somebody saying that I wasn't good enough. I still had the itch. I still wanted to play, and I showed up for an open tryout with the Somerset Patriots and made the team. So I signed with Somerset. That was my next step in professional baseball. Got traded to the New Jersey Jackals in the Can-Am League, played with them for a year, and then went out and played in St. Paul, Minnesota with the St. Paul Saints for a year. So total of 4 years of professional baseball. It wasn't easy. It was not glamorous by any means. Chasing the dream and then finally achieving that goal of getting drafted and getting to professional baseball was a team effort. I wouldn't have been able to do it without my teammates showing up early with me and taking ground balls with me, making those opportunities possible. I was a kid with a dream, but without the teamwork of the guys here at Zoned, or my family, or my friends, or everybody that made that opportunity possible. Started coaching at Zoned in 2012. I started coaching and I started working with kids for the first time, and that part came easy to me. I think as a coach, we're constantly developing and trying to get better. Really using my experiences to help the kids more than anything, using my failures and successes and trust me, I did not have it all figured out. I still don't. But I think that allowed me to communicate with the players better. We get in the cage, we talk a little bit about how they're feeling, what they're doing, what they're going through on the field, talk about some things that they want to improve on, and then kind of go from there. I think early on in my coaching career, I just wanted to pass along knowledge as much as I could, and I just wanted to teach. And now I've learned to listen a lot more on us as coaches to teach our kids to play to win, right? Not to just showcase themselves. What I try to do is, whether we're at a showcase where there's not even a scoreboard, or we're playing in a showcase where there's 3 outs or 5 batters, we're still trying to play to win that inning. The younger you can impact players, the better. Because you hear it all the time where people are saying, kids aren't the same as they were when we were kids. Well, that's not the kid's fault, it's the coach's fault. It's on each individual coach to try to impact those kids at a young age so they don't turn into that me guy. You're able to mold kids at a young age and teach them to play the game the right way. You're able to mold them and shape them into well-rounded athletes, as opposed to getting a 17-year-old that might have it all figured out, or think they have it all figured out, and then trying to help them from there. Yeah, so growing up I had 3 brothers and a sister, and when I wasn't playing baseball, basketball, or football, probably countless hours a day playing tennis ball, baseball on the street, it was always something active. My brothers and I especially were super competitive, so it didn't matter if it was, playing pool, or who can win in a swimming race, or who can hit the furthest home run in tennis ball, baseball. Everything was a competition. Being a good winner is just as important as being a good loser. That teaches you how to grow up. It teaches you how to maybe be a little bit more modest or humble, and appreciate other people doing good things instead of just you. We actually lost both of our parents at a young age. We lost our mom when I was 6, and then we lost our dad when I was 10. My dad passed away from lung cancer, and just like me, he was super competitive. I vividly remember him coaching my Little League team while he was sick, and it's 100 degrees. He's got his, back then they had the short baseball coaching shorts on, and in between innings he would go up into the press box just to get some AC because he was struggling with the heat and breathing. But I remember that, and I remember him battling and fighting, and as rough as that was, again, I was super fortunate. I was super fortunate with the supporting cast that all helped us, become who we are today. My dad passed away at 36, and my Uncle Gary had to be 34 at the time, and he had no kids, and instantly inherited my brothers and I. My Uncle Gary and my grandpa stepped in as father figures to my brothers and I in a huge role. So even though my dad was the one that introduced me to the game and created this passion for baseball, my Uncle Gary and my grandfather had that same passion. Every single one of my friends call my Uncle Gary UG, or Uncle Gary, because he's everybody's uncle. He's just that guy that he's been a father to us. He's been my number one supporter in baseball and academics and everything else I do. Anybody that knows Uncle Gary, he's instantly your best friend when he walks in the room. He's super personable. He can talk to a wall. He's the loudest guy at every field. But I was super fortunate because, throughout my entire college career, both my Uncle Gary and my grandparents only missed 3 games out of 56 games a year for 4 years. So my younger brother, Mikey, also trained at Zoned. He was much better than I am. He was a first-round draft pick to the Rockies in 2015. He's still in the Rockies organization. For him, growing up, he was always the best player on the field. He was always bigger, stronger, faster. My message to him was always just to continue to separate, because you're here already, and everybody else is here, so don't let them catch up. You got to continue to separate that gap and get better, and he did. So Mikey, as a younger brother, was always with me. He was with me at practice. He was our ball boy in football, the younger brother that was always around older kids, and I think that helps. I think being in those situations as a young kid helps you develop a level of confidence that you're supposed to be there. Yeah, I think that's my job now, as someone that had been in his shoes before, to teach him. I see zoned as a constantly evolving facility. I don't want zone to just be a place where people come and take hitting and pitching and fielding lessons. I want kids to be able to come here and develop both mentally, physically, with sports performance and strength and conditioning. I take pride in telling people to come to zone because of our family-like atmosphere. I feel like we do a very good job as a whole of not only providing good knowledge and instruction, but really making people feel at home. My goal for our younger players is that when they leave the door, they can't wait to come back. The reason I love Duke and I love working with Duke is because he never stops and he never settles. We'll never just settle where we're at, and every year we're trying to evolve. And baseball and softball, they're growing sports. I think Duke makes every single one of his employees feel important. He makes all of the coaches here feel as if they have a special piece in zone, and his positivity is contagious. I think my vision for zone 20 years from now would be doing exactly what we do now on a bigger scale. Being able to send our message to a much wider group of people than just right here in Somerset County or central New Jersey. No matter what level you're at, there's always an opportunity to improve. So you might get cut from your Little League team. That doesn't mean you're not going to play in the big leagues one day. You might get put on the B or C team at 13U. Well, that doesn't mean you're not going to make your high school team and play college baseball. Dominate where you're at. Be the best player at your level or exactly where you're at, and you're going to progress. Don't worry so much about the goal or where you're going to end up one day, or why am I not there yet. Focus on dominating exactly where you're at, and everything else is going to take care of itself. My biggest dream right now would be to continue to grow as a coach and a person, to never settle and be content with where I'm at. Looking forward to getting married and having kids one day, and hopefully join the PGA Tour in 20 years.